Have you ever asked yourself, what truly makes a life happy? Not the fleeting happiness we get when we achieve what we want, but a feeling of peace and stability, even when everything around us is not ideal. In an era where everyone is busy chasing success, materialism, and standards set by others, we gradually forget the most fundamental things. We think happiness lies ahead, in a job, in a relationship, or in the moment we achieve something. But then, when we reach it, we find ourselves as empty as before, as if there is a gap inside that nothing can fill. There is an ancient story that tells of a traveler who journeyed everywhere looking for happiness. He met scholars, merchants, kings. Everyone talked about happiness, but no one truly possessed it. Until one day, he stopped by a small house in a valley where a wise old man lived simply amidst wildflowers and the afternoon sun. The traveler asked, "How can I be happy?" The old man smiled and said, "Happiness is not something to be found, but something to be cultivated in every thought, every choice, every moment. Be grateful for what you have. Live in harmony with life as it is, and love. Love others and love yourself." It sounds simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest to grasp. The traveler stayed for a while and realized that happiness had never left him. He was just busy chasing things far away, forgetting to look within. From then on, he stopped seeking and started learning how to live. In this video, we will explore 12 simple yet profound things together, lessons from Stoicism and modern science, to understand that happiness does not come from having more, but from living deeper, being more present, being more grateful. Take a deep breath, set aside your worries, and let's begin this journey with the first lesson. Number 1, live more slowly. We are living in an era where everything moves too fast. From the moment we wake up, we are swept into life's rotation. Urgent notifications, tasks piling up, plans to be completed, and things we have to leave behind before we even have time to feel them. Modern life teaches us how to run, but not how to stop. And then, in that rhythm, we gradually lose the simplest ability: to feel. Happiness has not left us. We are simply moving too fast to notice it. When we race at high speed, we can no longer hear the heartbeat of the present moment. Worries, expectations, and comparisons intertwine like a thick fog, making us think we are living life to the fullest when, in fact, we are just skimming past everything. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not let your mind be dragged along as a slave to the things that happen outside." Slowing down is not about stopping your steps, but about returning to the moment that is unfolding, knowing where you are, what you are doing, and what significance it holds. Scientists have proven that when the mind is constantly in a state of reaction, thinking about what's next, multitasking, the body releases cortisol, the stress hormone, keeping the nervous system in a constant fight or flight mode. But when we intentionally slow down, taking a few minutes to breathe, walking leisurely, or just sitting still for a while, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated and the body naturally enters a state of recovery. It is in those moments that the mind becomes clearer, like a calm lake after a storm. Slowness, therefore, not only brings mental peace, but also regenerates intellectual and emotional strength. And if you ask yourself where to start with the simple things in your daily routine. In the morning, instead of rushing to wake up and run out the door, try waking up a little earlier. Sit quietly by the window, breathe, and listen to the sounds of the morning: birds chirping, the wind, the slight breeze passing by. Make yourself a cup of tea, turn on some light music, or simply sit in silence to feel the peaceful morning air, a new day unfolding. That is not wasted time. It is the moment you truly return to yourself. When you eat, slow down. Taste the flavor of the food, the warmth of the meal, and the small joy of sitting with familiar loved ones. Don't just eat to finish the meal. Eat to be grateful, because you have so much more abundance than many people out there. Then, you will feel happy. And when you talk to someone, truly listen, not to reply, but to understand. Don't rush to interrupt. Don't try to prove yourself. Just be there, calm, present. Because in this noisy world, listening is the greatest gift you can give someone. When you live fully in those small things, your life's rhythm naturally slows down. The external noise gradually dissolves, and you will realize that peace was never far away. It is right here. In every moment, you are truly present. Slowing down does not cause you to fall behind. On the contrary, it is the way you regain mastery of your own rhythm, so as not to be swept away by the noisy world, but to walk to the beat of your own heart. Because happiness does not come from moving faster than others, but from walking slow enough to recognize what is truly meaningful to you. And sometimes, just by stopping, you will see what you have been seeking all along has always been right here. Number 2, connect with nature. When you start to slow down, you will hear a familiar sound that you once forgot, the sound of the world. The gentle rustle of leaves, the wind slipping through the window, the light creeping in during the early morning. It is all still there. We just stopped listening, stopped seeing, stopped feeling. In modern life, we spend most of our time indoors, in front of screens, amidst artificial walls, and call it life. But in reality, we are gradually forgetting a simple truth. Nature is the very breath of life. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, "All things in nature are harmonious, only man separates himself." And it is in that separation that we begin to feel lonely. Because no matter how many conveniences we try to build, the human mind still belongs to simple things: sunshine, wind, trees, and the earth beneath our feet. When we return to nature, we don't just breathe fresh air, we breathe life back into ourselves. Nature reminds us that we don't need to try too hard to exist, just be ourselves, like the green trees, like the flowing water, like the boundless sky. Modern science also affirms this. Studies from Stanford and Harvard show that just 20 minutes outdoors each day can significantly reduce stress hormones, improve memory, and enhance concentration. When we interact with nature, even just taking a walk in the park or looking up at the sky, the nervous system relaxes, heart rate stabilizes, and the mind becomes clearer. Because nature is the place where the body and soul are programmed to harmonize with each other. Find a way to touch the real world around you again. One afternoon, turn off your phone and step outside. Walk along the path where trees you often passed without noticing stand. Sit on the grass, listen to the wind rustle through the leaves, and look at the clouds in the sky. If you are too busy to go out, you can place a small plant on your desk and observe how it reaches upward every day, slowly but steadily. And if you live amidst a noisy city, just spend a few minutes gazing at the sky. You will find your soul becoming as light as the drifting clouds. Nature is not somewhere far away. It is around you, in every breath, every breeze, every moment you pause to feel. When you blend into nature, you will realize that everything has its own rhythm. No one can force a river to flow faster, nor force a flower to bloom on schedule. The same is true for you. You do not need to chase after the rhythm of others to feel like you are living. Learn to stop when you are tired, stand still when needed, and trust that everything will arrive at its own right time. When we learn to live in harmony with that rhythm, slowly, patiently, and peacefully, we not only reconnect with the world outside, but also reconnect with the life within us. Number 3, pack your days with plans. Have you ever felt like you were just repeating everything like a familiar clock? Waking up every morning, working, eating, and then sleeping. Everything happens regularly, but inside, you still feel empty. Time passes but leaves no trace, just a series of days drifting by without knowing where you are headed. That feeling doesn't come from laziness, but from a lack of direction. You are not truly living today. You are just letting it pass. Living with a plan is not about restricting yourself, but about choosing to live proactively. The Stoics understood this clearly. They believed that every morning is a new beginning, an opportunity to choose a path instead of surrendering to circumstances. A clearly organized day is a purposeful day, and the life filled with such days is a complete life. When you plan your day, you are not just managing time, you are giving it meaning. If you don't plan your day, someone or something else will do it for you. Science also suggests that when you set specific goals, the brain releases dopamine, the chemical that creates a sense of progress, excitement, and satisfaction. A directed day doesn't make us more stressed. On the contrary, it helps us feel like we are moving forward. You don't need to outline a packed schedule. Just be clear about what is most important. Write down 3 small things: 1 task for work, 1 task for yourself, and 1 task for someone else. When you finish, pause for a moment and feel the simple joy that you have truly lived fully today. That is a feeling that no grand success can replace. The feeling of presence, of meaning, of progress. Happiness is not measured by what we achieve, but by how we use each day. A day can be ordinary, but if it is lived fully, it is still a valuable part of life. When you learn to fill your time with meaningful things, you will realize that peace is not in how much time you have, but in how you use it. Every day lived with a plan is a day that makes your life more worthwhile. Number 4, simplify your life. Do you ever feel like you're carrying too much on your shoulders? Work, responsibilities, and even unnamed emotions. Every day we try to organize, try to keep up, try to do more. But the harder we try, the more exhausted we become. We think happiness comes from more money, more opportunities, more achievements. But sometimes it is precisely more that leaves no room for peace. The Stoics believed that the wealthy person is not the one who has more, but the one who needs less. When we stop trying to hold on to everything, we begin to understand what freedom means. Every item we keep, every relationship we try to maintain, every expectation we carry in our hearts, all have weight. Some of these things are small, but when accumulated, they weigh down our minds. Only when the heart stops desiring everything do we become light enough to recognize what truly matters. You will feel it in moments that seem unremarkable. It is when you tidy up your desk, discard a few unnecessary items, and find that the space becomes brighter and your spirit becomes lighter. When you turn off some phone notifications, limit social media scrolling, the world still functions. The only difference is that you have reclaimed the quiet in your mind. It can also be an evening when you choose not to go out to a party, but to stay with yourself. Brew a cup of tea, play some music, read a few pages of a book, or just sit quietly to listen to the breath of life. Those small moments, seemingly simple, are precisely when we are learning to live more authentically, more lightly, and closer to ourselves. Simplification is not an act of getting rid of, but learning to keep consciously. Keep the small joys and let go of the need to always be right. Keep the relationships that warm your heart and let go of conversations that only fill silence. Keep your peace and let go of the things that make you lose it. When we reduce the superfluous, the mind also becomes organized, like a well-ventilated room after being cleaned. One day, you will realize that happiness is not the destination of great efforts, but the reward of letting go. When we no longer have to prove ourselves, no longer have to hold on, have to chase, life becomes as light as a calm lake. To live simply is to dare to live authentically, true to your feelings, true to your limits, true to what you need and what you do not need. And when you achieve that, happiness is no longer something you have to search for. It is always there, quietly waiting for you to return. Number 5, don't quit on what you love. Have you ever wanted to give up something you once loved? The thing that used to keep you up late out of passion now only makes you tired. The thing that used to excite you every morning now feels heavy, like an obligation. When passion is no longer strong enough to pull you up every day, you start to hesitate and doubt your own decision. That is the phase that every true love must pass through. No path is entirely illuminated. Anything meaningful will test you to see if that love is a fleeting inspiration or a conscious choice. The Stoics believed that happiness is not in getting everything easily, but in remaining steadfast amidst difficulties. Loving something is not just because it always makes you happy. Sometimes it means long days of hard work, unseen by anyone, unpraised by anyone. But it is precisely in those seemingly insignificant days that you are quietly growing, bit by bit. When you choose to continue, even with confusion in your heart, that is when you are forging a strength that few possess, the power of perseverance. Every time you don't give up, you are quietly reinforcing your belief in yourself. If there are times when you are so tired you want to stop, go back to the beginning. Remember the reason you started. Was it for recognition? To prove something? Or simply because you truly loved it? When you can answer that question, you will find the reason to keep moving forward. I believe that if you persist to the very end, you will realize the reward is not only in the result, but in the person you become. You will no longer be the enthusiastic beginner, but the person who stumbled, fell, and doubted yourself, yet still did not abandon what you love. That very steadfastness makes you deeper, more stable, and more tranquil in all circumstances. And then you will realize, not every dream is easy, but every journey pursued to the end is worthwhile. One day, when you look back, you will see the tiring mornings, the long silent evenings, the moments you continued even when no one encouraged you, all contributed to creating something more precious than success, the feeling of living true to yourself. Not everyone has the chance to find what they love, and even fewer are brave enough to hold on to it. If you are among those few, cherish it. Because the thing you love, no matter how small, is the fire that keeps your soul warm on days when the world turns cold. Don't quit on what you love, just because it is harder than you thought. The most valuable things in life always require time, and that journey itself will make you the person you want to become. The greatest reward is not the completed dream, but a heart that has learned to be steadfast, to love, and to live fully with its own passion. Number 6, be kind. In today's world, people easily forget that kindness is also a strength. We live in an age where everyone is in a hurry to protect themselves, a hurry to react, a hurry to prove they are right. Amidst the arguments and harsh words, we gradually become wary of kindness, as if it were a luxury. But the truth is, being kind is the most meaningful thing you can do in this life. Kindness is the pinnacle of inner strength. Because only when you are stable enough can you treat others gently. Kindness is not compromise or endurance, but choosing to respond with clarity instead of reacting with hurt. A person who chooses to live kindly needs no grand reason. They simply choose to do what is right by their conscience. Perhaps you have had days when someone hurt you, and the first reaction was to want to retaliate. But if in that moment you pause, take a deep breath, and choose not to do the same, you have won the biggest battle, the battle with yourself. It is not showy, it doesn't need anyone's recognition, but it quietly makes this world a more beautiful place. Modern science also proves that when we act kindly, the body releases oxytocin, the hormone that reduces stress and increases feelings of happiness. Kindness not only makes others feel better, but we are also healed ourselves. Every time we choose to understand instead of judging, choose to help instead of ignoring, is a time we are freeing our minds from anger and resentment. And gradually, kindness becomes a habit, not because we seek praise or reciprocation, but because it is the way of life that makes us feel the lightest and most peaceful. Start with small things. Smile at people around you. Truly listen to someone instead of just waiting for your turn to speak, and sincerely thank someone when you are helped. Kindness doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be sincere. One day, you will realize, kindness doesn't change the world overnight, but it always changes you in every moment. And when you live with kindness, not to be reciprocated, but because it is the most beautiful part of yourself, life naturally becomes more beautiful and more meaningful. When you choose kindness, you are also choosing peace for your soul. Number 7, master your reactions. In life, we cannot control everything that happens, but we can always control how we react. The world around us changes every minute. People change every day, and things don't always go as we wish. A thoughtless remark, an unintentional glance, a message that stirs up our emotions. And in an instant, we react with anger, hurt, or cold silence. And afterward, we regret it. The Stoics considered reaction to be the crucial point between freedom and slavery. It is not the person who insults us who causes our suffering. It is our choice to let our minds be dragged along. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." When we learn to pause for a beat before reacting, we are no longer victims of our emotions. We become their masters. Mastering your reaction does not mean suppressing your feelings, but clearly seeing that emotion without being controlled by it. Anger is not bad, it is just a signal. Hurt is not weakness, it is just a natural response. But the difference is made by what we do after we feel that way. The strong person is not the one who doesn't get angry, but the one who knows how to be angry correctly, knows how to be silent at the right time, and knows how to forgive when needed. Neuroscience also proves that when we react immediately, the amygdala, the emotion processing center in the brain, takes control, shutting down reason for a few seconds. But if we pause for just 3 seconds to take a deep breath, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for calmness and decision-making, will be activated. Just 3 seconds. But it can be the boundary between an argument and a dialogue, between breakdown and understanding. Therefore, the next time you want to react, stop. Take a deep breath, step back for a few seconds, and ask yourself, will this reaction help me become the person I want to be? I firmly believe that the answer will be no. And simply by choosing silence, choosing calmness, you have won, not against others, but against yourself. Mastering your reaction is the art of finding stillness amidst the storm. It doesn't make life less turbulent, but but it makes you steadier amidst the waves. When you no longer let others decide your mood, let their words touch the deepest part of your heart, that is when you are truly free. And when you learn that, every moment of anger will become a lesson. Every conflict will turn into an opportunity to understand yourself better. And life, though still full of challenges, suddenly becomes much easier to breathe through. Number 8, turn off your phone. Sometimes, have you ever realized you can't sit still for just a few minutes without touching your phone? It seems like any void makes us uncomfortable. Waiting in line, waiting for a ride, even just sitting still for a few seconds between two meetings. We fear the feeling of silence, fear of being left behind, and fear of not catching up on something. And it is in that fear that we lose the most valuable thing, the ability to truly be present. The modern world makes us confuse connection and engagement. Every day we chat with dozens of people, scroll through hundreds of images, yet still feel empty. We know a lot, but understand little. We talk a lot, but listen little. The continuous stream of information is like a heavy rain that doesn't give the mind time to dry. The Stoics once said, "A mind that is not quiet never knows what it wants." Perhaps sometimes what we need is not one more new notification, but a moment of true silence. Modern science says the same thing. The brain needs cognitive space to recover. When we step away from our devices, alpha waves associated with creativity and relaxation begin to increase. Just a few minutes away from the screen can restore concentration and clarity. And if you want a simple way to improve your mental health, start by stopping phone use before bed. Blue light and the continuous flow of information keep the brain in an awake state. By turning off the screen earlier, the body has a chance to produce melatonin, the hormone that helps with falling asleep and deeper sleep. You don't need to abandon technology. You just need to learn how to step away from it for a while. Let those empty moments no longer be frightening, but become the place where you return to yourself. When you go for a walk, leave your pockets empty. When you talk, let your eyes meet instead of looking down at the screen. When you wait for someone, let the waiting return to its true meaning, a pause, not a scrolling session. Sometimes, let the world keep spinning without your intervention. Turn off the device, look up, take a deep breath, and let what is truly happening around you touch you. The sound of the wind, the face of a stranger, the feeling of light on your skin. In those seemingly small moments, you will realize what social media cannot give, the feeling of being alive, not just existing. Turn off your phone, not to escape the world, but to return to the real world. Because sometimes, only by disconnecting from the cloud can we reconnect with the sky within ourselves. Number 9, take breaks and go on trips. We live in an era where being busy seems to have become a badge of honor. The more appointments we have, the less time we have, the more valuable we feel. But have you ever asked yourself, if every day is filled with things that must be done, what space is left to feel life? We often do not realize how exhausted we are until our bodies start speaking up. On the surface, everything goes on as normal, but inside, something is gradually depleting. We are tired when we wake up, no longer find joy in completing tasks, and just wish we could stop for a moment to breathe. In modern life, people often confuse resting with giving up. But sometimes it is that brief pause that helps us continue. A trip away, a day outside the familiar routine, or just a few hours stepping away from life's hustle can all become a small bridge leading us back to ourselves. When we leave the old space, the repeating thoughts also cease. everything suddenly slows down. The sound of the wind is clearer, the light is warmer, and the mind is lighter. No need to do much, just let yourself drift in that moment, without striving, without rushing. It feels like the world is breathing with us, and for the first time in many days, we truly hear our own breath. No one can operate indefinitely without rest. Even the wind stops sometimes to change direction. Humans are the same. When we stop and rest, energy is not lost. It returns stronger. Give yourself that space. Turn off notifications. Close your laptop. Go somewhere just to breathe, to feel the life that is truly happening around you. You return to your daily life, realizing everything is the same. Work, people, familiar habits. But something inside you has changed. Your body is lighter, your mind is calmer, and your heart is filled with a very real sense of peace, as if, after a long rain, everything is starting afresh. You find yourself ready to continue, not out of obligation, but because you genuinely want to. Number 10. Nurture real connections. We are living in a world where information travels faster than the speed of light, yet paradoxically, people feel lonelier than ever. We have hundreds of friends online, but we don't know whom to call when we need them. We talk more, but listen less. We interact constantly, but touch very little. And gradually, we forget the warmth of a real-life encounter where there is eye contact, a smile, and full presence. Seneca once wrote, "No man can live happily who regards himself as accountable to nobody but himself." Because no matter how strong we are, we still need a place to be understood, to share, and to be reminded that we are not alone. But in the hurried pace of life, real relationships are gradually being replaced by the convenience of virtual connections. Fast, easy, but shallow. A real relationship does not come from talking a lot, but from being present. When you sit in front of someone and truly listen, without interrupting, without judging, without rushing to reply, what you give is not just time, but respect. And that respect in today's world is more valuable than any gift. You can nurture a real relationship through the smallest things. Calling a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, writing a sincere message instead of a brief reply, or simply caring about the people who are always by your side. Tell your parents, tell your loved ones that you are grateful they are there. Show up when someone needs you, not to prove you are good, but because it is the right thing to do. And when you dedicate time to real connections, you are also healing yourself. We often think we are giving, but in fact, we are receiving warmth, trust, and even love. Because human beings are not only sustained by work or achievements, but also by the invisible bonds that connect us to others. Don't let relationships exist only in text messages. Sometimes, the thing that truly connects people is not words, but sincere presence. Number 11. Practice self-reflection daily. Every day, we meet countless people, do dozens of things, and react hundreds of times. But how many times do we truly stop to look within ourselves? We are often busy looking outward, seeing who is successful, who is better than us, what people are saying about us. But we forget that the person we need to understand the most is our very own self. The Stoics viewed self-reflection as an indispensable ritual. Every evening, Seneca would write down what he had done during the day. He asked himself, "How did I behave? Did I let my emotions lead me too far? What could I do better tomorrow?" Not to blame himself, but to understand himself a little deeper each day. We are often afraid to confront ourselves, afraid to see the imperfect parts, afraid to recognize what we have been avoiding. But only by daring to look directly can we truly change. For as Marcus Aurelius once said, No one can improve if they do not know who they are becoming. All you need is a short moment of quiet in the day. A few minutes before sleeping, ask yourself, today, what made me feel proud? What left me feeling uneasy? Tomorrow, what is one thing I can do a little better? Just those 3 questions, if repeated regularly, can change the way you live. Because with every moment of honesty with yourself, you become less noisy, less self-judgmental, and you begin to understand that growth is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning the lessons from them. Sometimes we think progress lies in achieving something new, but in reality, it lies in understanding ourselves a little better than yesterday. Understanding how we react, how we feel, and why we make the choices we do. Because when we understand ourselves, the world is no longer frightening. We are not swayed by others, we don't have to pretend to be strong, and we no longer need to seek validation externally. Let every day conclude with a moment of silence, just you and the truth. Not for judgment, but for returning home. Because ultimately, peace does not come from knowing more, but from understanding better, the person we are becoming. Number 12. Choose gratitude, not grudges. Life rarely turns out the way we wish. The person we cherish is the one who hurts us. An opportunity within reach suddenly vanishes like smoke. Things we once believed would last forever leave before we can understand why. We stand amidst unfinished matters, trying to appear calm, but deep down we are burdened with unnamed hurt and grudges. A grudge is something we cannot see, but it erodes the soul little by little. It's like holding a hot coal in your hand, waiting to throw it at someone else, but the tighter you hold it, the more you realize you are the one who was hurt the longest. The Stoics understood this early on. They did not deny the hurt, but chose to let go because they knew no one can simultaneously cling to the past and powerfully move forward. Gratitude is the opposite of resentment. It doesn't force us to be falsely optimistic, but teaches us to look deeper, to see a lesson in loss, an opportunity in failure, and the potential for growth in hurt. Everything that happens, good or bad, contributes to the person we are today. And when we are grateful for that, resentment naturally dissolves, not because we forget, but because we have understood. Try to think about the things that seem ordinary. Waking up in the morning, a satisfying meal, and someone who is still by your side. These small things, when we pay attention, become blessings. Because gratitude is not just words, but the way we look at the world with gentler eyes. Perhaps you have experienced loss, been misunderstood, or given without receiving anything back. But if we hold tightly to the wound, we will only see bitterness in life. However, if we begin to be grateful, this life will become lighter. Practice gratitude every day, not just when things go smoothly. Be grateful even for the things that make us stop, because they help us grow. Be grateful even for the people who left, because thanks to them, we learned to stand on our own. And be grateful for yourself, for having gone through everything and still being gentle enough to smile. Life is never perfect, but when we choose gratitude, every flaw becomes more whole. And in the moment we choose gratitude instead of resentment, we truly become free. Free from the past, free from the hurts that held us back. And that is also when we open a new journey, the journey of growth and peace. We have journeyed through 12 lessons, 12 things that seem small, a smile, a pause, a word of thanks, a peaceful morning. But when put together, they become 12 pieces of a profound life. We learned how to let go of what we cannot control, how to slow down, to listen, how to plan to live with focus, and how to practice seeing the world with kindness, gratitude, and understanding. Stoicism does not teach us to search for happiness, but reminds us that happiness has always been present in how we face adversity, in every breath, in every choice, and in how we treat ourselves every day. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey that includes both calm days and stormy ones. But as long as we keep moving forward with tranquility, still know when to pause to be grateful, and still keep the gentle light in our hearts, then no matter how long the road is, we are living fully in every moment. Happiness is not found where we arrive, but in how we walk through every day, every minute, every breath. And if this journey has caused you to pause and reflect, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to leave a like and share this video with someone else who is also seeking peace of mind. And if you wish to continue this journey with us, the journey of learning how to find stillness amidst chaos, please subscribe to the Stoic Journey channel to keep taking the next steps together on the path back to happiness, quietly, profoundly, and sincerely.